Good.
Morning, my name's Parker.
Parker, how are you?
Good. How are you? I was supposed to meet with Keith. Is he not here this morning?
No, this is actually my office, so he's not in here.
Alrighty. Well, do you mind if I take a seat? And I guess since he's not here, talk about what I was supposed to go over with him.
Sure, you can have a seat. Have a few minutes.
Alrighty. So I'm with ITEC 451. We're the largest national distributor across multiple industries. And personally, first week I came in with Kahit and talked to him
Okay.
over some of the issues that you guys might have been facing with Regency Homes out of Omaha.
Okay.
And I didn't necessarily get much out of him
Hmm.
because he was the project manager. He said a lot of the questions I were asking were more towards the service side.
Okay.
So I guess that just leads me to my next question. Are you on that service side, or what role do you have within the company?
So I actually supervise Cadiz, and he's got so he handles quite a bit of the day to day, and I'm on a little bit more of a strategic side on the service side of things.
Perfect. So then you might be the person that asked the questions that I had last time with him.
Possibly.
Because my biggest question that I had for him was I know the refrigerant side of HVAC's kind of taking a hit with the tariffs on the valve nozzles on the top.
Okay.
The EPA is also making a transition from R50, R22 to R54B.
Mhm.
And when I asked him that question, he said that'd be more something to talk to the service guy. So I don't know if you have information on that.
So that transition is going to be happening within the next year. So it is something that we are looking at. What do you distribute exactly? You just said largest distributor, so I'm not sure.
I personally focus in the HVAC world, commercial and residential.
Okay.
And with you guys being Regency Homes doing custom home build at Omaha.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I did a job visit with Gahisi. He took me on a visit at your job site to see kind of like your guys' day to day and some potential things that I saw that stood out to me when I took that tour.
Okay. Tell me
So
about that.
I first off, I just want to say you guys have some pretty good craftsmanship. It was some of the nicest houses, and I was like, this is kind of spacious. I kind of want one now. With today's market, it's pretty hard to find a house that size. But
Sure.
how often is that boom going to be? Like, are you guys transitioning more south, more north?
Uh, we kind of have to look for new areas to expand into. But as you know, we're always building, and there's been a housing shortage for the last 15 years, and we don't see that necessarily changing at this point. So um, there's economic headwinds to think about, but for the most part, we're still pretty bullish on our building plans for the residential side, um, and honestly the commercial side as well.
So, how long is it normally taking for you guys to put up these custom built houses for these customers?
It really depends. It depends on when the project starts, and obviously the size of the project. But in general, we can get a home finished within about 6 months.
So, one thing I did notice when I was on that visit was you guys were expecting a shipment from Southworks out of Fremont for
Okay,
your venting and your ducting,
sure.
and it wasn't there on time for you guys.
Okay, I hadn't heard about that.
So your crew was having to wait on that Southworks truck to get delivered out to the project for you. So I just didn't know if that was something that's like occurred multiple times previous to this, or it's a one-time deal.
It's not a problem that I've heard of. So if it's happened, if it's a recurring issue, I will typically catch wind of that. I would have to ask some of the guys on the ground if that's something that has happened. Obviously, on-time delivery is something that's critical. We can't have people sitting around waiting on products. So it's always if a company has that issue, then a lot of times we will start looking for other suppliers in terms of on-time delivery, pricing, and those things are all considerations that we weigh pretty heavy.
Yeah, that makes sense, of course, because I mean, downtime leads to loss of money. And that was also my last thing that I noticed was you guys were mixing your 26 gauge galvanized with your 30-inch gauge galvanized as well. So you had your staff having to sit over there and sort out the ducting, which takes time away from the job site. So I guess that caters into my point of when we do a takeoff for you guys, you hand us the prints and we'll go in floor by floor, room by room, and spec out everything that you need for your quote.
Sure.
And then based off of your building process, so if you're starting on the garage per se, you need a unit up there, we can ship that section to you, deliver it, I guess not ship, deliver it to you, and then we can work on the next one. Like it'll be ready for the next one that you need. So then it keeps it separated, which then takes away that liability of loss of man hours.
Where do you guys deliver out of?
We're out of Omaha, on the north side of Omaha.
Okay. And do you have a DC in the Midwest?
Yes, sir. We have one in OKC.
Okay.
And then we also have one more western towards Colorado and Denver area.
Okay. So in general, if we have some kind of need that's maybe off the beaten path, and you guys don't have it sitting in Omaha, what does that kind of look like in terms of being able to deliver on time?
So we can do it. There's two steps to this. We can either do one where we can go through the DC for you, which would take about 1 to 2 days. But if it's something that we can get in-house for you at a different location, say like our Lincoln or our Kearney location, we can have that to you probably within that day or the next day, depending on how our drivers are like maintained that day.
Win Air and the same thing with Ferguson, they both at no cost to us, right? Stock certain things, certain SKUs that we use on a regular basis that we need on the ground in Omaha. Again, kind of free of charge. What kind of stock solutions do you offer?
We have a guy in-house that strictly focuses on that. He loves going through and managing the SKUs and making sure everything's up to date for you guys.
Okay.
And he can come through, whether it's like we can set up a term policy, like beginning of the month, end of the month, middle of the month for you, or multiple times to see that transition period and product usage. Because some houses might be leaning more towards that smart side, so you might need more smart technology, or other houses don't want that smart heating and air, so they want to be lacking. So it just depends on that, on how often you're, I guess, servicing these types of customers, but they'll be in there.
Okay.
Depending around that area, once or twice, or 3 times.
Okay.
And based off of what I saw, this is a quote that I put together.
Okay.
Because I communicated with Cahis, and like he told me that you guys are more than satisfied with your suppliers right now. And I just wanted to kind of get my foot in the door to see if my distribution center is too high or too low within that market for you.
Okay. What I will say is on these quantities, these aren't typically quantities that we will purchase in. We'll go typically go for volume where we can if that gets us a better price. In terms of the pricing, you are a little high. Is there any kind of quantity discount in terms of purchasing?
So the prices that I offered, well, I showed you on this quote are gonna be, they weren't box quantities, of course, they're gonna be like they were just that room, because you guys were working on the master bedroom.
Sure.
So I just provided you with that information for the room that I saw mostly of.
Mhm.
But we do offer that box quantity discount for our suppliers as well. And
Okay.
the value added services that come with those purchases and with us, like I said, are gonna be that separation and takeoff from us,
Mhm.
delivery, hot shot delivery, and then also going to be able to refrigerant claims. We also take reclaim tanks from you guys. You
Okay.
guys didn't have much there. I don't know how much you have in the shop, but we also take reclaim tanks as well,
Okay.
and we dis take care of them the proper way,
Okay.
which then that gives you guys a credit in your account for future purchases.
Okay. I was gonna ask if there's any kind of credit back for those tanks. Yeah, so typically when we're looking at purchasing, we are going to look at it not on a room by room basis. So at any given time, we might be constructing 10, 20 houses throughout the metro. Different crews, obviously, but we like to centralize our purchasing. So um, seeing pricing and on a box basis would definitely be something that I would need to look at because with the just kind of one off with a room, obviously these prices are going to be higher than what we're paying from other suppliers when we're buying in quantity. So I think that I would be interested in seeing what your pricing looks like for some of those higher quantities to see if that is competitive.
Yeah, of course, it makes sense. And that's if we had that takeoff sheet with the specs of the house and the blueprints, it would be able to be more beneficial for us to give you the correct pricing. And I didn't have that takeoff sheet
Sure.
to sit down.
Yeah.
But if that's a resource that I can get from you for another future project, then we can sit down again and talk about that box pricing across the board for you. And just to implement some of those steps, whether that's the sorting of your materials so you're not having to sit there and go through your 26 gauge and your 30 gauge ducting, or you know, and then also take some of those tanks off the lot for you and reclaim it so we can put that money to better resources.
Yeah, sure. Okay. That sounds good. What I can do is if you can just leave your email or your card or whatever. I can send you those takeoffs for some upcoming projects so I can get a better feel on where your guys' pricing is at and see if you guys are competitive with Winair and Ferguson, and we can kind of go from there.
Perfect. Can I catch an email for you so I can schedule a meeting? I would like to have you and Cahis in that meeting with that takeoff pricing and the implementations that we'd like to start moving forward with you guys. Is that possible?
Yeah, sure. I can get you a card before you leave.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Would you like me to write my email on that paper for you?
If you would, sure. Yep. Okay. Wonderful.
And then can I get your email from you?
Yeah, sure. It is M as in Mike, C as in Charlie, N as in Nick, E as in Edward, A as in Apple, 756.
At Gmail?
Yeah.
Perfect. I will send over that meeting for you, and we plan to have that within the first couple of days that you send over those takeoffs for us.
Okay. All right, well, that sounds good.
I appreciate the time.
Yep, thank you very much.